Just ahead on CTV News, the county school district is hosting its second annual Legislative Day. Plus, the county honors its senior veterans ahead of the holiday. And those stories and more on CTV News, starting now.
Good evening, this is CTV News for November 8th. I'm Michaela Newton. Thanks so much for joining us. And topping our news tonight, the Maryland Attorney General's office is investigating a disturbing series of racist text messages sent to Black Marylanders. The messages from an unknown sender include threatening and dehumanizing language, telling recipients to board a bus to a plantation for forced labor. Now, these texts appear to be part of a nationwide campaign targeting Black people and have caused distress for many, including students. Now, Attorney General Anthony Brown condemned the messages, saying, quote, "These messages are horrific, unacceptable, and will not be tolerated." Now, if you have been sent one of those texts, I'm asking you to please come forward and report it. I am committed to protecting the rights of all Marylanders. There is no home for hate in Maryland. Meanwhile, top Democrats in Maryland are assuring residents the results of Tuesday's election will not affect the rights of Marylanders or the goals of leadership. Governor Wes Moore met with his cabinet in Annapolis today to discuss the state's plan to adapt to Donald Trump's return to the White House. Attorney General Anthony Brown will form a federal litigation team that will respond to federal actions or policies that infringe upon Marylanders' rights, including reproductive freedoms and protection from discrimination based on immigration status, gender identity, and sexual orientation. And come January, Donald Trump will be sworn in as the 47th president. Now, Republicans have control of the Senate, and the House has yet to be called. Maryland Representative Glenn Ivey is expressing his concern over Trump's potential push to replace career civil servants with political appointees, which he believes could hurt government efficiency. Ivey is also watching the future of a new FBI headquarters in Greenbelt, Maryland, which Trump blocked in his first term, citing security concerns. He says Democrats need to reflect on their recent losses, including the shift of Latino voters to Republicans, and improve their approach on border issues. And we're just 8 weeks away from the start of the 447th General Assembly session, and today the Prince George's County School District unveils its top legislative priorities. The county school system hosted its second annual Legislative Day this morning, and school leaders, along with the County Council Board, discussed the priorities that they will be advocating for in Annapolis. Now, some of the key issues, including increasing funding for new school construction and funding for more school safety technology. PGCPS will also be advocating to extend immunizations for students new to the United States and more money to implement for Blueprint for Maryland's Future.
The Blueprint is a magnificent vessel in terms of supporting public education. But what we also know is that there are some responsibilities in the Blueprint that we have to pay close attention to in terms of funding. And we have to make certain that all of our elected officials work with us and understand what those priorities are going to need to be.
And the 2025 legislative session will convene on January 8th. Well, 12 students have been arrested in connection to a hate crime in Salisbury. All 12 suspects are men who attend Salisbury University. Now, Salisbury police were contacted on October 31st about the alleged hate crime that took place over 2 weeks prior. Cell phone video was presented to the police of an assault which took place at a nearby campus apartment. Now, investigation shows the victim, a male student member of the LGBTQ+ community, was lured to the apartment before being beaten, spat on, and called derogatory names. Now, the university has suspended the 12 students along with the Sigma Alpha Epsilon fraternity for violating the university's Code of Student Organization Standards. Meanwhile, a man crashes his car into the University of Maryland Medical Center last night and then pulls out a knife. According to reports, the man drove his car into the emergency room entrance of the medical center just before 8 p.m. The suspect then pulled out a knife, and officers at the hospital were able to detain the man. Our News 4 partner spoke to a man who witnessed the crash.
I thought he was injured or something, so I tried to get in the car to help him. But I saw the guy, he was with a red shirt, and he get off the car, but he got something in his hand. I didn't know why, but I knew that might be something dangerous.
And according to officials, the vehicle that the suspect drove was a black Toyota. Well, Prince George's County is celebrating its senior veterans right before Veterans Day. The Department of Parks and Recreation held the annual luncheon this afternoon at Martin's Crosswinds Greenbelt.
I wanted to do more than thank you for your service. There is such a debt that we all owe to you for what you've done for our country, and there aren't enough thanks in the world for it.
Prince George's probably has the largest amount of veterans living in the county than anywhere else. And so our organization, Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission, wanted to give honor and thanks to those that served, answered the call, served, and protected our freedoms.
Good exciting moment for me. Always happy and ready to be among my comrades, my fellow veterans. Certainly appreciate and love them. Certainly hope we get all the benefits that we deserve and appreciate. And thank you guys for representing the veterans. Thank you. God bless you.
And Veterans Day will be celebrated on Monday. And you're watching CTV News. I'm Michaela Newton. Still to come, the county's public playhouse is hosting its annual choreographers showcase. Hear the inspiration behind some of the dances when we return.
I'm Amy Grant, and I want to talk to you from my heart about the heart. There was nothing about my life that said, you have a ticking time bomb in your chest. But I did. I wound up in the office of a cardiologist because I was there with my husband. And at the tail end of that, the cardiologist looked at me and said, I want to see you. No one was more surprised than I was to learn I was living with a rare heart condition. He said, Amy, this condition, you'll be fine, and then catastrophic. A few months later, I had open heart surgery that saved my life. And I owe it to the research and life-saving medical breakthroughs developed by the American Heart Association. I'm grateful for the American Heart Association. Their research gave me more time to do the things I love with the people I love. So listen to your heart. I'm here today because I did. Learn more at helpheart.org.
Welcome back. A Piscataway house fire is estimated to have caused $750,000 in damages. And the fire happened yesterday on Livingston Road just before 3 p.m. 2 adults and 3 children were displaced by the fire. And now 1 firefighter was injured while tending the fire and was transported to the hospital with minor injuries. And the cause of that fire is still under investigation. Meanwhile, the Prince George's County Fire and EMS put out a statement informing Marylanders about the current statewide burn ban due to our lack of rainfall. Open air burning, fire pits, and bonfires are illegal. Now, the fine for a first offense is $300 for anyone who violates the ban, and the notice is in special spotlight due to the nice weather conditions that may encourage outdoor burning.
It's significant because it is so dry. We haven't had the rainfall that we are usually seeing, and because of that, the tiniest little spark can cause not only property damage but wildfire damage as well, and so it is crucial that we uphold this ban. So any open fire, open pit, as well as charcoal grills are prohibited. The only things that are allowed are propane and or electric grills, like your Traegers, your pellet grills, because they have an on-off switch.
All important tips there, but grilling equipment with chimneys are safe to use. And to stay updated on the burn ban, visit PGFD News on Instagram, Facebook, and X. Well, deer hunters are seeing an increase in its harvest season compared to last year. According to the Maryland Department of Natural Resources, hunters have harvested more than 20,000 deer during the early part of the archery and muzzleloader seasons. Officials say this year, deer harvest season has seen a 24% increase from last year. Now, here in Prince George's, there has been a total of 521 deer harvested this year, compared to 374 deer harvested in 2023. And winter marks holiday cheer, but for many, it can trigger depression. People with seasonal affective disorder start feeling low during the fall when the blue light levels that makes us feel alert start to drop. Now, this causes people with SAD to feel depressed, but they may feel better in the spring when light levels rise. Now, experts say light therapy can be helpful where people are exposed to bright lights for half an hour every morning. Now, if you do have SAD, check with your insurance to see if light therapy costs are covered. And this weekend, the Prince George's County Public Playhouse will host its 41st annual Choreographers Showcase. And this show includes 10 different pieces, each with its own unique concept and theme.
For this, I was like, I don't know what it's going to mean yet. And I don't know why, but I want dancers rolling in grass. That was it in terms of the inspiration when it started.
That inspiration became Honeysuckle, the piece Madeline Maxine Roman will present at the Choreographers Showcase. It's her second time as a featured choreographer in the show's 41-year run.
I really like this piece and I'm really proud of it because I think it gives a really strong sense of place. There's something really different about seeing a dance performance that has some element of the natural world.
For Roman, her inspiration came from the set design. Other choreographers drew inspiration from their own lives, like Angel Ramirez.
I will be presenting a piece called Niño Perdido. It is a piece that explores the concept of navigating life alone in the U.S. and how it can be difficult for those who come from a country outside of the U.S. Coming from a personal narrative, I also want other people to think and wonder about a time in their life where they felt alone and how those feelings played in their life. So talking to the dancers about my story, I tell them, I ask them how, if they can find a moment to think about when they were alone back in time, so that kind of helps them have a better feeling of what the piece is.
Ramirez moved from Central America to the United States in 2012, and he lost the sense of community present in that culture. He thought a lot about those feelings of loneliness.
I was like, how can I not just think about it, but portray it out there in other pieces? Because there are chances out there for you to tell your story in many ways, and for me it was through dance.
For over 4 decades, the Choreographers Showcase has provided a space for artists to present those stories.
I'm really not understating that this is such a treasure in this community and in the dance community overall. One of the things I'm really focused on as a choreographer and as the artistic director of my own company is fair and equitable pay. And this is one of the few opportunities in this area that really pays choreographers well.
Performances range from solo to companies and are choreographed by a diverse group of professional to amateur artists, each piece carrying a unique message.
If I had to think one thing for audience members to take away from my piece, it would be sort of the power of connections and relationships in our lives. It's really about reflecting on the kind of irreversible, invisible ways that we all impact each other through our interactions, through our relationships. And so I hope that's what it makes people reflect on.
Reporting from Chevrolet, Mariah Jalad, CTV News.
And the showcase takes place Saturday, November 9th at 7 p.m. But for more information, visit pgparks.com. And still to come on CTV News, Veterans Day is this Monday. After the break, I sit down with a veteran and Prince George's County native who's made a huge commitment to uplifting underrepresented communities. We'll be right back.
We hear the stories of people forced to abandon their home. The stories of people whose dreams have been swept away, or their lives left hanging by a thread. Or whose worlds have been blasted apart. Although the stories repeat themselves, Each person's experience is unique as they are. And whether it's care or community that people need, we're here to help them live a new chapter, to embrace what makes them unique, be a lifeline to the most vulnerable.
Out! Out! Everybody out! Come on!
Good job. Under 2 minutes.
Keep your loved ones safe from home fires. Practice a 2-minute drill until it's part of your routine. And test your smoke alarms monthly.
In America, millions of families are facing hunger.
After rent and power, I can get groceries. It's sad to say food comes last. Anna from Texas. The Feeding America network of food banks helps provide over 6 billion meals to people in need each year. Together, we can end hunger. Learn more at feedingamerica.org.
November 11th is Veterans Day, and the DMV is home to many men and women who've put their life on the line to fight for this country. Prince George's County native Natasha Suber Perry is a proud veteran who has not only served our nation for over a decade, but has also emerged as a beacon of hope and support for aspiring entrepreneurs in her community with her successful venture, Suber Company. Tasha, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So you served 12 years in the military and then 14 as a government consultant. So tell me a little bit about some of those key skills that you've learned in your experience.
Okay, well, like most folks who are prior service, a lot of opportunities to lead, and you get great organizational skills and all those things that kind of lend themselves to entrepreneurship. Mm-hmm. So I think the transition from military service to government contracting is a kind of a natural transition. And then even from there, going from a consultant working for firms to going independent on my own was another natural progression.
Yeah, and talk to me a little bit more about that transition from, civilian life, from the military to civilian life. How was it for you?
Well, for myself, because I was a reservist my entire time in service, the transition is a little easier for those of us in the Reserve Corps if we're not serving on active duty at that time. So I was already kind of simultaneously supporting government contracts while I was in service.
Absolutely. And tell me a little bit about Suber Company. So you founded it back in 2014. What do you guys do? And tell me what made you even want to start that company?
Well, years ago, I'm about to tell my age, in 1998, when I had my oldest son, I started my own little secretarial service as we had back in the day, and I came across a company that did something similar, and I thought, man, I would love to do something like that, but have something in a community like mine. So I grew up in Prince George's County, and there just weren't many places like that. And so once I got further along in my career with independent work, I just decided it's time to go ahead and launch this service. So I started with a small office, and we've now tripled our space within 10 years.
I was going to say, what's next for your company? What do you foresee in the future?
So the hope is to expand by giving other operators, smaller like myself, an opportunity to kind of operate with us and partner with us so that we can all expand our network of clients.
Absolutely. We reported yesterday that Maryland is the #1 state in the country where minority-owned businesses thrive. So how do you think that Suber and Company help other, local minority-owned businesses?
I think the key thing that we offer is the very basic infrastructure that you need as a small business. You need a business address, you need a business phone number, but it's kind of hard for someone just starting to take on the overhead of a large suite or long, lease term. So for just $40 a month, many of my entrepreneurs start with their first business address, and as they grow, they add services, meeting room time, phones, and some of them grow to get private offices, and I've had some even sublease full spaces from me.
I was going to say, I'm sure with entrepreneurship, you find a lot of challenges and bumps in the road. What are some of those challenges that you've had to overcome?
Well, I think every entrepreneur is going to say working capital. Everyone's always struggling with access to to funding, and especially when minority-owned businesses, we typically have a harder time with getting access to funding. So even this coming year, we're trying to launch some webinars and series with our clients that do offer commercial lending to kind of get the rest of us where we need to be on paper so that we can qualify for that funding.
And if someone does want to, join your company or become an entrepreneur themselves, how would they reach out and be a part of that?
Well, you can always find us online at supercompany.com. We have an app in the App Store, so if you just put in Super, the app will pop up and you can get access to it, so just call us directly. We're always available.
And my last question actually was, how does your service experience as a Black woman actually influence your leadership style when it comes to your business?
You know what, I would say the number one thing that my clients love about our business, repeatedly they say, is the staff. And I treat it very much like how it was when I was in service. This is a team effort, no one person, no one point of failure. So if I'm not around, the ladies who are wonderful that support me, they can pick up after myself or each other. We really have each other's backs.
And it's a team of completely Black women.
Yes.
Correct? What was the mission behind that?
I think that just was the natural progression of what happened. It was just, I have my mom's best friend's daughter. She has been with me, Sonia Washington, I have to call her out, has been with me the entire 9 years out of the 10 years that we've been open. And that's just who ended up rocking with me and riding for the long ride.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate your time here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.
And for more information about Natasha or her company, visit supercompany.com. And don't go anywhere. After the break, Simon Buggs has our Friday sports page.
Home before sunrise, on top of the house, the kids, and our future. The smell of your cooking is our alarm clock. My Shiro's day is never done. So let's start saving a little more now so we can feel prepared for retirement. A free 3-minute online chat can give us the personalized tips we need so we can live our lives to the fullest. Visit aceyourretirement.org.
When I was 10, my mom got deported. We had a difficult time, and I feel that's why I didn't get to finish school. My husband is really supportive in a way that he pushed me to go back to school.
She wants to have a career so her kids can look up to her.
They both keep me motivated to go to school, and they see that if I do it, like, they can do it too, you know? I feel that everything's possible.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
All right, now, sports fans, we begin your Friday sports page with some highlights from the world of college hoops. It was an exciting night over at the Xfinity Center yesterday as a local matchup took place. The Terps women's basketball squad took the court for their first home game of the season against Coppin State. The game was close after the first quarter as the Lady Terps only had a 15-12 lead over the Lady Eagles. But in the second quarter, sequences like this steal from freshman guard Ava McKinney that turned into a fast break layup for Cheyenne Sellers played a part in the team outscoring Coppin 25-4. and Maryland went into the half up 40-16. In the third quarter, Maryland continued to build their lead as another steal, this time by Sellers, to give her teammate Christina Dolce an easy layup. The stray ball hit by point guard Sarah Tibiasu, who had 12 points on the night. Bree McDaniel channeling her inner James Harden with this Euro step into a layup, and Selah Parfenbarger doing a nice job of protecting the rim with this block. Helped the squad still be up big with a 59-28 lead at the end of the quarter. Despite being down big, Coppin still made some plays like this triple hit by guard Andrew Jones despite a good contest from Poffenbarger, as well as his fadeaway jumper hit by forward Layla Lawrence. Maryland maintained the lead in the fourth, and the Lady Terps cruised to victory, beating Coppin 70-47. Maryland will host Duke next on Sunday at 1 o'clock. Now in NFL news, the Baltimore Ravens took the field last night for Thursday Night Football against a division opponent in the Cincinnati Bengals. And the game was an absolute nail-biter as the Ravens only won by a point, 35-34, after a failed two-point conversion by Cincy. Head coach John Harbaugh spoke after the game and credited the team's defense for their efforts.
Not alone, and we do that. We understand that we have a lot to work on. But we're very grateful for that win, and we're very grateful for our guys, man, the way our guys play, how they fight, how they don't give up, just what he said, there's still time on the clock. You keep fighting, found a way right down to the end, even the defense getting the stop on the two-point play, and that's what it took. It took a stop at the end to win the game, and our defense did that. Our Darius made that play, and the pass rush was there too. So I'm very proud of the guys. Hats off to the Bengals. I think they do a great job, and it's a, AFC North football game for sure.
The Ravens will face off next against the Pittsburgh Steelers on November 17th. And the high school football playoffs continue tonight as Henry Lackett will travel to the Lions Den to take on Largo. Duval will be on the road taking on Flowers. And finally, Oxon Hill will host Guilford Park High. Kickoff for all games are at 7 o'clock. Wrapping up sports, the Washington Commanders take the field on Sunday against the Pittsburgh Steelers. The game begins at 1 o'clock. And the Washington Wizards will be in action tonight as the team will face off against John Morant and the Memphis Grizzlies. Tip-off is at 8 o'clock. And that is your Friday sports page.
All right, Simon, thanks so much. What do you think are the keys to victory for the Commanders versus Steelers game?
Well, two things, Michaela. I feel like the offensive line definitely has to do a good job of containing Steelers defensive end TJ Watt. He's an absolute monster coming off that edge. That O-line has to protect Jaden Daniels. They've been doing a good job these last couple of weeks of protecting him, but this week it's essential that they try to contain TJ Watt. He's one of the best defensive players in the league, and also this team has to do a good job of stopping that Steelers rushing attack. The Steelers the rushing offense is top 10 in the league, and their running back Najee Harris has been playing very well these last 3 games as he's rushed for over 100 yards. So he may have hopefully he won't have a big game coming into Sunday. So those are two things that I think are definitely essential if you want to pull out the win on Sunday. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we will. All right, thanks so much.
No problem.
And let's get a look at our 3-day weather forecast. Tonight we'll have clear skies throughout the area. Tomorrow it's going to be sunny, but we only have a high of 58. Sunday we have a high of 59 and a 50 to 80% chance of showers. And Veterans Day, Monday it's going to be mostly sunny. We'll have a high of 70 and a low of 49. And for our community calendar this Monday, Councilmember Wanika Fisher will be hosting a Veterans Day celebration. The event will pay tribute to veterans by highlighting their contributions and dedication to our county. And this event takes place at 4 p.m. at Rolling Crest Senior Commons. But for more information, make sure you contact 301-952-4436. And that's all the time we have tonight for CTV News. Thanks so much for joining us and have a happy Veterans Day weekend. We'll see you again on Tuesday.
Good night, everyone.
The power of the knock is food. Your stew's delicious. I'm 88 years old, and I was with the Ice Capades when I was young. Now, being as old as I am, I lose balance. I don't like ending up this way, but what am I going to do? I got Meals on Wheels for the 5 years that I've been here. It's nice to know they come, and if you feel like talking, you can talk to them. I could talk for forever. They're totally a blessing.